I don't know. I think I recall that you're kind of tight with some of those guys, and I wanted to know if you had any insight on to why Xavier and Keith left.
Yes, I am close with those guys, and I do have insight on it. As a matter of fact, I'll be seeing Buckcherry without Keith and Xavier for the first time ever without Keith, because they are playing Rocklahoma this weekend. But I had mentioned this the other day. I had lunch with Keith in Los Angeles when I was out there a couple weeks ago. And really what this comes down to, from what I can tell, is that Keith and Xavier felt the band needed to take a break and felt that the band needed to come off the road, felt the band had maybe toured a little bit too much, and thought they kind of needed to recharge. They wanted to take some time home. They wanted to take some time with their families. They wanted to maybe put a little space out there as far as touring and, maybe make a great record and come back in a year or so and do some other things. And Josh did not feel that way, and obviously Stevie didn't as well. So Stevie and Josh decided they're going to keep going out there. They're going to keep playing, and that is exactly what they're doing, with a bunch of concerts and a bunch of shows announced on a daily basis now, including Rocklahoma this weekend. And Keith and Xavier have left the band as a result. They didn't agree with the direction that the band was going.
Yeah, I can see that totally. I mean, they do tour a lot, but they're a great band together, and Keith is the soul of that band, in my opinion. It's not Buckcherry without him.
Yeah, well, Keith and Josh are the founding members of that band. So with all respect to Xavier and everybody else, I mean, X is a great drummer. He really is, and he's a great dude. I mean, totally. But yes, it's always been Josh and Keith's thing. They own the band, they run the band. It's their thing, and that's where the big break here is. That's the big division. And Keith is no dummy. He knows that the front men. Then the front guy is always going to be the star of the band and get the lion's share of the attention, and that's how it's going to be. And Josh is going to go out there and steer this thing, and has already replaced those guys. We've seen, and history has shown, 1,000 examples of people that you didn't think were replaceable or who were key members or whatever. And the great majority of fans, sometimes they don't even notice or they don't care, and they still turn up at the shows. So we'll see. The band, there's no way the band isn't going to sound different and have some differences going forward as far as changes to what they sound like and what their live shows are going to be like. But I'll see for the firsthand myself this weekend here at Rocklahoma, because they're playing. They're all friends. I wish them all the best. When stuff like this happens, it serves me no purpose to get in the middle of it. It has nothing to do with me. It's unfortunate because first and foremost, I am a fan. But I'll help them. I'll be rooting for both sides of this to work out. And I know that Keith is focused on doing some producing. He's got young kid that he's a relatively new baby, and he's putting some time in at home and producing and working on stuff like that. And I know Xavier is working on building motorcycles. He's got a business doing that. He's working on doing stuff like that. So that's where it's all at. And then I don't know the two guys that Josh replaced them with in the band, but like I said, I'll see them for the first time this weekend.
Yeah, I think some of the guys are part of the Steve and Josh's new band that they formed, which is supposed to be like a harder, heavier band than Buckcherry.
Right. Well, that's the other part. Right. Thank you, Kevin, for the call. That's the other part of this, is that Josh and Stevie. Here's all you need to see about how big the difference of opinion is here, where I think Keith and X felt it's time to take a little break. Let's build some demand and let people want us and miss us a little bit. Josh not only doubled down, he kind of tripled down with Stevie, because he's keeping Buckcherry going with the different lineup. Then there's another separate band that Stevie's also in called Josh Todd and the Conflict, putting out new music and likely will do shows. And then they also put out sort of this rap metal sort of band that I don't know what the status of that is. It was called something Spray Gun or something. So you have one guy saying, let's take a little time off and let the fans want us again. And the other guy saying, no, not only am I not taking time off, I'm going to do Buckcherry and two more bands. I mean, like I said, the music business is the Wild West. Everybody is throwing stuff out there and has different ideas and philosophies on how to make it all work. It's pretty crazy. 844-686-5863, 8446 volume. But like I said, I wish them all well, and we'll see.
All right, so Baz, our buddy Baz, Sebastian Bach, will be appearing at the Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, which also features Judas Priest, and that takes place in September in Hollywood, California. So this is kind of like, the everyday man's opportunity to jam with their rock star heroes. So people can register now, and that, again, is your chance to hang out and jam with Rob Halford, Richie Faulkner, Ian Hill, Scott Travis of Judas Priest, and Sebastian Bach. So this is a private rock and roll fantasy camp facility. They do question and answer sessions, you get your pictures, your autographs, all that good stuff. And then you actually get to practice and hit the stage at the Whiskey A Go-Go with all of the members of Judas Priest and Baz live. So once again, people can register now. It's $3,999, but
it ain't cheap.
It ain't cheap, but you can save $1,000 if you register now. And over the course of the 4 metal-filled days, campers will get to be placed into bands with one another and led by rock star counselors that include Craig Goldie from Dio, Rudy Sarzo from Quiet Riot and Whitesnake, Vinny Appice or Appice or however the hell you say this last name from Dio and Black Sabbath, and Nita Strauss from Alice Cooper's band. So
now here's how this works, because I've done one of these, not as a participant, but as like a Q&A guy. I was just a guest at one. The people you just mentioned, they do all the work. They do all the work. They're there for however long the thing is, 3, 4, 5 days, putting in all the work, teaching these people who paid this money how to play and how to do a band. The headlining guys, in this case, every time they do one, there's a different headlining guy. The big marquee name guys, in this case Judas Priest, they usually swoop in the last day for an hour, say hello to everybody, jam, shake some hands, take some pictures. Hey, mate, you're sounding great, and that's it. Usually. Now, sometimes some of them get more involved in that, but that's usually how it works. But the other people in the small print, for years, Kip Winger did these. He won't do them anymore, but for years he did one, and he would put in hours and days, because they're the people that have to be there every day working with all the people who sign up to learn. It's a very interesting dynamic. This has been going on for a long time, and it's very, if you have ever attended one, if you have that sort of disposable income, or you've just been on the outside looking at it, it's very interesting dynamic how it all works.
I believe in this case, Judas Priest is getting a little bit more involved because people will be able to jam with them on stage at the Whiskey A Go-Go at the conclusion of this camp. So if you want,
which my point though is that my point though is that sometimes this is presented, and again, every one is different. So I'm not saying I know how this one's going down, but they're all presented in different ways. Where on the outside you look at it and you'll be like, oh, I'm going to be jamming with Glenn Tipton of Judas Priest for 5 days. No. At the end of the very last thing, if you win, he'll jump up and play a song with you and take a picture and all that. The guys that do the day-to-day work are the people in the small print. That's all I'm saying. All right. When I did the 1 year I did it, the headline guy, and again, I didn't sign up for it. I can't teach people how to play, but I forget what I did. I did some sort of Q&A with people and talked about the music business or whatever. And it was in Vegas. And the year that I was a guest was Sammy Hagar was the headline guy. The 4 days that I was there, all the Kip Winger and all those guys were there putting in all the grunt work. The last day, Sammy does a blow through, waves to everybody, says hello, jams a song, and that was it. And I had heard the one before, Steven Tyler, it was the same thing, although I think Tyler did it twice, and then the second time he actually hung around and did some stuff. So I think it depends upon, how much the nature of the deal. Let's be honest. This is all a business venture for the people involved. It's not a charity thing. So whoever's getting paid what to do how much with these people is what happens.
Well, if you want to roll the dice and you have $4,000, check it out at rockcamp.com.
Well, just know what you're getting before you sign up. That's all I would say. I mean, I think that by now people have it figured out as to what it is. But I just think that there's some people I talk to that think, oh, I'm going to spend 4 days hanging out with. I guarantee you my money would be good at that instance.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, this Greta Van Fleet, okay, I bought both the Struts albums. I really like the first one. The second one is kind of But this Greta Van Fleet, everybody's bagging on them for sounding like Zeppelin. They were playing Led Zeppelin music when they were 8, 9, 10 years old in their school for their school and doing it really well. These guys have done something for music that hasn't been done since Led Zeppelin. I'm 50. I've been a Led Zeppelin fan my whole life. I've wanted nothing more than them to get back together. That would be my ultimate rock fantasy, is for Led Zeppelin to get back together. Well, now I don't have that